A few thank yous first of all. I'd like to thank Stephen and the entire New York Times team. Great to partner with you, and I think absolutely crucial that we continue to have world-class journalists asking difficult questions of the world's business and political leaders. So thank you for the work that you do. Wasn't it great to have Carlos and Tom here in conversation? I know Tom's had to go because he's just arrived today, and I'm pretty sure that Tom thought that the Volkswagen question was the difficult question. I can tell you it's not the difficult question for an automotive manufacturer like Carlos. I had a panel on electric vehicles in Le Bourget 2 days ago, and had a senior lead from BMW and a senior from Renault, and as well as a charging infrastructure and IKEA. And they're all converted, right? So it was a bit of a love-in about how great electric vehicles are and how we were going to move really fast and it's all going to happen really quickly. And then at the end, I just asked people to give me a one-figure answer on when will the last mass-produced internal combustion engine be built. I can tell you that the two automotive company representatives were squirming in their seat, and they both seemed to conclude that it would be sometime after their career, whether because if they named the date now, their career would end immediately, or because they thought it'd be a long time, I don't know. So it'd be great to get Carlos back one day and ask him that question. I'd also like to thank all of the businesses, investors, cities, states, and policymakers who've stepped up on the road to Paris here. The mood music in the negotiating rooms is so much more positive because the French and the Peruvians and the UNFCCC have invited in all of those, if you like, co-conspirators for ambitious climate action, and there's been massive evidence of ambition and leadership. I'd also finally like to thank my great friends and partners in the We Mean Business Coalition. They're scattered around the room, many of them. I could go on for hours about all the great work they do, but I won't because I've only got a few minutes. So we've got the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, driving incredibly ambitious sectoral decarbonisation plans. CDP, driving science-based targets as a new way of thinking about what the finishing line is. The B team leaders stepping up and making great commitments to lead their businesses to the low-carbon economy. BSR, working on a lot of issues, but driving very detailed help in sectors to make ambitious change on climate. The Climate Group, leading on the renewable energy revolution. We've got over 50 companies now, some of the biggest in the world, committed to 100% renewable energy procurement. The Prince of Wales Corporate Leaders Group, who are kind of masters of helping leading businesses engage with the policy work, and Ceres, one of the most important coalitions of investors and businesses driving policy change and practice change in the States. As Stephen said, Paris is going to deliver a new legal agreement, but it's going to deliver more than a legal agreement. It will be complemented by over 180 national climate plans. It will be bolstered by commitments on climate finance. I'm confident that the political commitment to 100 billion, which is one of the key outcomes, will be met and ramped up over time. And it will be emboldened by this unprecedented outpouring of leadership from regions, cities, businesses, and investors. That whole package is going to be the outcome of Paris, not just the text. But it won't get us to 2 degrees. When we add up all of the INDCs, the most optimistic assessments say it might get us on a 2.7 degree track. That's still an awful lot of severe weather events and refugees. So sometimes 2 degrees seems like an impossible ambition. And for the Pacific Islanders, an existential ambition. They're chanting 1.5 to stay alive. So I just wanted to switch from climate to a different kind of race against time and take you back to the 6th of May, 1954. I wasn't around then, some of you may have been, but it's quite a long time ago, and you can see it on YouTube. That was the day that a young medical student, Roger Bannister, at the Iffley Road track in Oxford, set out to break an impossible barrier, to run the first 4-minute mile. People didn't think it was physically possible. They didn't think it was humanly possible. His friend, Chris Chataway, ran the first 2 laps. He was the pacemaker. You go on YouTube, you can hear Roger Bannister's rather plummy 1950s Oxford accent saying that he really didn't think that Chris Chataway was running fast enough. He didn't think they were going to do it. At the end of 2 laps, Chris Chataway stepped aside, and Chris Brasher took up the pacemaking and led Roger Bannister around the track for the 3rd time. At the bell, the time was 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Remember, this is all handheld timing. So, but the word got around, and the crowd knew that a 4-minute mile was a possibility, and they started roaring Roger Bannister home. As he turned the last bend and looked towards the finishing line, he said he could see the faint line of the finishing tape appearing in the distance. He reached the finishing line, he leapt at the tape, and there was a pause while the timekeepers got together. And then the announcement came out that the winner was Roger Bannister in a time of 3, and no one heard the rest of the time because the cheers were so loud because they knew that he'd done the impossible, he'd broken the 4-minute mile for the first time. The actual time was 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds, but no one cared about the 59.4 seconds. His record lasted 46 days, and then it was broken again. So here we stand with global leaders committing us to a trajectory of 2.7 degrees. I believe that with businesses, investors, cities, and state leaders playing the role of Chris Braysher and Chris Chataway, we can pace-make the world's political leaders towards the finishing line, which now appears faintly 5 years ahead in 2020. And I believe it's possible that when encouraged by those pacemakers, world leaders come together for their Roger Bannister moment, wherever the COP is in 2020, someone will add up all those INDCs and announce, ladies and gentlemen, we're now on a trajectory to 1 point, and we won't hear that because we'll be cheering. It may be 1.95, it may be 1.8, no one will care. The fact is we'll have proved that we can bend the curve down to below 2 degrees, and from there, maybe further. And I also believe that whatever that trajectory is, it won't last long. There's so many positive feedback loops of ambition, innovation, investment, that we can now dare to believe, I think for the first time, that we will end up in a trajectory below 2 degrees, that we will have our Roger Bannister moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for believing in impossible ambition. Thank you for all of you who've lent the weight of your leadership to the context around these Paris negotiations. We're all crossing our fingers for an on-time or even early positive outcome. And then the work of us as pacemakers will continue all the way to 2020 till we can really believe that we've actually achieved the impossible.